Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel if you haven't been here before, and if you haven't been here before, please subscribe to be a part of the bilingual family, which is mostly me trying to talk English and I fucked up. Today I'm going to show you my VIB sale recommendations for the Sephora spring sale, as well as my own wish list. Now, I do want to preface this by saying that I don't live in the US, I live in Europe, so I don't have access to Sephora.com, but because I live in Europe, I do have access to Sephora.fr, I think it is, which is the French website of Sephora, which means that I do have access to most of the products that Sephora.com actually sells in the US. And I asked you guys on Instagram if you wanted to see some VIB sale content, and you said yes, so here I am. I do not have my entire makeup collection with me right now because I am in a different place than where my makeup collection is due to work. I'm just gonna go by category, and the first category that I want to talk about is a makeup base or primer, and the product that I absolutely recommend, the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base. Guys, this is one of the best products that I have used in a very long time. It seems like a very insignificant step, like your primer. It doesn't really change that much about your appearance the way that foundation or concealer does. This is a beautiful moisturizer and primer in one. It's actually the one that I have on my skin right now. Very pricey for being a primer slash moisturizer. I have the 50 ml version, which I think is about $55, so it's definitely worth picking up if you're interested in a moisturizer that will give you glowiness, dewiness, and a very healthy looking appearance. Also at the same time form the most perfect layer or prep for the stuff that you put on top. The moisture will come through your products and you will not look... I've had my makeup on for I think about 3 hours now, and it still feels really nice and not tight at all, and that's mainly because of this product. Next up is foundation, and the foundation that I wanted to talk about is the Rare Beauty Liquid Touch Weightless Foundation. I did a first impressions on this foundation a while ago, so if you want to check that video out, somewhere here or links in the description, and I really loved that foundation. The problem was that the foundation itself, like the color, was a little bit too dark for me and I couldn't necessarily make it work. Like, it was obviously too dark for me, so I gave it to my best friend who's hopefully currently enjoying it right now. It's one of those products that I really want to pick up again when Rare Beauty becomes more accessible or just like more easily available to Europe. Beautiful, really thin and liquidy formula. It was a very watery kind of formula, which made it easy to blend out and very lightweight at the same time. And the finish itself was a beautiful natural finish with a slight luminosity to it, which is really great for my dry skin tone. That foundation is really one that I would recommend if you have dry to normal skin. I think it would work well for oily skin as well if you set it in certain areas where you get oily, because the foundation is very long wearing at the same time. It really dries down in a way, but it still maintains enough of that moisture to really give you a healthy sheen on the skin, and I just really enjoyed that foundation. Moving on to the next category, I actually also want to talk about Rare Beauty, and I want to talk about their Rare Beauty Liquid Touch Brightening Concealer. Now, this concealer is very much in line with the foundation. I would say that it's a little bit more on the satin side, so it's not completely matte, but it's also not completely like very moisturizing and dewy at the same time. So I have dry skin, so I don't necessarily feel the need to set this with powder, but when I do, even then, it doesn't look too overly dry on my skin. I have the shade 130N, which is a really nice match for me, but it's again also very long wearing and beautiful natural kind of finish. So I really wanted to recommend this Rare Beauty concealer. But obviously, if you watched my channel for some time and if you read my blog or if you follow my Instagram, you know that the Kaiser's Revealer concealer is my absolute favorite concealer. It's also the one that I would recommend the most to pick up during the Sephora VIB sale. This concealer is such an excellent concealer. It's beautiful for dry skin. I think a lot of skin types will really enjoy this concealer because it really moisturizes the skin in a way. Concealer is said to be like an eye cream and a concealer in one, and it definitely reminds me of that. It has that whipped kind of thick consistency, but thick without being dry, so it's very emollient and it has a lot of coverage, which I personally really like. But even though it has a lot of coverage, it doesn't look cakey or too makeup-like in a way. It really looks absolutely stunning, I have to say. It's just one of my favorites. I love it so much, and I highly recommend you picking this up during the VIB sale. Now for powder, I wanted to recommend the Hourglass Veil Translucent Setting Powder. This is a powder that I've been using for almost 2 to 3 years, I think. If you take a close look at the back of this product, you can see that I have barely any left. So a little really gets you a long way, and it's one of those powders that is really nice for almost every single skin type. It's a very finely milled powder that doesn't grip onto dry texture or like just any kind of skin issues that you might have, but at the same time it sets the skin without being too much. It is one of my favorite powders. Unfortunately, I just don't like talking about this anymore. It's just that Hourglass as a brand is just not my favorite brand right now. Next up is bronzers, and the first one that I want to talk about is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Bronzer. Now, it's a bronzer that I currently don't have with me. The Charlotte Tilbury bronzer is a beautiful bronzer, and you really get a huge bang for your buck because it has a lot of grams in it. I think it's almost 16 grams. It's a beautiful powder that really gives your skin almost like a blurred effect. On the perimeter of your face, you will really see a very softly sheer layer of bronzer. It's also a matte bronzer, so if you gravitate more towards matte bronzers, this will be your cup of tea. It's a very sheer kind of formula in terms of pigmentation, so it's very easy to build up and it's hard to go overboard. So if you like that type of stuff, the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Bronzer is really a great bronzer. Another bronzer that I currently don't have with me is the Fenty Beauty Sunstalker Insta Warmth bronzer, and I have the shade In the Sun. It's another matte bronzer, but I like it for a completely different reason than the Charlotte Tilbury one. I have the shade In the Sun, which is a beautiful neutral shade with a little bit of yellow undertone, and the formula itself isn't too dusty or powdery, so it won't get cakey or very dry on your skin even though it's a powder. And also from Fenty Beauty, another bronzer that I really enjoy and that I have with me is the Fenty Beauty Cheeks Out Freestyle Cream Bronzer, and I have the shade Butter Biscuit. So I'm gonna open this because this is also a bronzer from Fenty Beauty that I hit pan on. Yes, baby. This is a beautiful cream bronzer, and I've talked a lot about the Fenty Beauty cream bronzer, so I'm gonna keep it short. But basically, the opacity of this product is what makes it such a huge winner in my book, which makes it a very natural bronzer in that aspect. It also has, it's actually the bronzer that I'm wearing today, around the perimeter and like the sides of my face and on my nose. But it's a beautiful bronzers, and if you're into cream bronzers, I highly suggest this cream bronzer from Fenty Beauty. Another cream bronzers that I would like to recommend if you are looking for more of a matte formula, because the Fenty one is quite dewy, I would suggest the Nude 6 Bondi Bay bronzer, because that one is a beautiful formula, very pigmented if you're looking for that, and it has more of a matte formula, which makes it slightly more long wearing and maybe more suitable for those of you with oily skin. Then the last bronzer that I want to talk about is the Kosas The Sun Show Moisturizing Baked Bronzer. I have the shade Light Soft Bronze, which is this one. First of all, I really like the packaging. Again, it's Kosas. This product doesn't really necessarily have a lot of base pigment to it, which makes it very sheer in application. And it's also a formula that is very shimmery. So it's not a matte bronzer whatsoever. It has a lot of shimmer inside of it. I don't really see any major moisturizing going on, but the shimmeriness of this bronzer does give it that moisturized appearance. Moving on to the big part of my sale recommendations, it's blush. and all of these are cream. So the first blush that I would like to recommend to you guys is the Rare Beauty Soft Pinch Liquid Blush. Now I have both the shade Joy, which is this one, and I also have the shade Bliss, which is the matte version. Joy is the dewy version. The Rare Beauty liquid blushes are so incredibly pigmented, and that's why I really want to recommend these to you guys. If you are looking for a pigmented blush that will last a really long time, these are for you. Even though the pigmentation can be a little bit of intense and a little bit of a learning curve, this is a beautiful blush. A very, again, natural finish on the skin. Doesn't put too much emphasis on any kind of texture. Looks really nice on top of the skin. Beautiful for underpainting, which is something that I do quite regularly. But like I said, very pigmented formula, very saturated if that's what you're looking for. Very long wearing. Both the matte and the dewy version are very long wearing. Easy to blend out if you are careful with how much product you apply. And yeah, I really recommend these liquid blushes. Next up are the Fenty Beauty blushes, which I love to death, and I have talked about these again quite some time. So I have 3 shades. Petal Popping is currently my dorm, but I have Rosé Latte and I have Fenty Glow, which is more of a neutrally kind of color. Fenty Beauty blushes are some of my favorites. I've talked about these so much, so I'm gonna keep it short. In comparison to the Rare Beauty blushes, these are a little bit more on the sheer to medium coverage side. They're pigmented, but they still have a little bit of opacity to leave room for your skin again to come through. But a really beautiful kind of formula, and I love these to bits. They're really nice. They have a lot of beautiful, like, trendy shades, but these are my favorites because they're more on the neutrally side. Next up is the Nude Sticks Salty Siren All Over Nudies face color. It has that kind of opacity, the kind of translucency to this blush, but it's more of a matte formula, and it's also quite a pigmented formula. It's not as pigmented as the Rare Beauty ones, but for a stick form, these are pigmented and really beautiful. Again, it's very long wearing as well. And this is again a formula that I would really recommend for people with oily skin, because it is a really nice kind of matte formula that also dries down, so it doesn't remain tacky or anything. It fully sets down onto the skin without looking dry, cakey, or just like very dusty on your skin. Now the Tower 28 Beach Please Tinted Luminous Balm, and I have the shade Golden Hour, is again a product that I would highly recommend if you like cream blushes. Now this one is a little bit more stiff in the pen, so you definitely need to warm it up, or you can use a brush if you want like just easy application. This has a sheen that is just amazing. The sheen on this product is so incredibly stunning, and it's definitely one of those cream formula blushes that has a high shine finish. So it's not only like just a little bit luminous and like a natural glow, no. This is glossy, but it doesn't remain tacky, which is something that I personally really like. The more I use this product, the more I am impressed with it, and I just overall really like this one, and I will be picking up a different shade. Also a very long wearing blush as well. Another cream blush that I would highly recommend you guys trying out is the Patrick Ta Double Take Cream and Powder Blush, and I have the shade She's So LA. This shade in particular is the one that I want to recommend to you guys because it is the most beautiful reddish brown without being too brown and without being too red, and it has like a hint of orange and pink in it. It's so hard to describe this blush. The one that I have on my cheeks right now, I like it for the color, but I also like it for the versatility. So you have the powder blush that you can use on its own, very pigmented if you have a light skin tone like myself, so be careful with that. And then you have the cream blush, which is very sheer, but at the same time it has a lot of shine. So it's a very natural kind of cream blush. But yeah, the shade itself is very unique, and I love both of these formulas, and beautiful. I love it so much. Then finally, for cream blush, we have my favorite. This is the Kosas Color and Light Cream, and I have the shade Velvet Melon. Again, I've talked about this so much. This formula of all of them is the most creamy and melty kind of formula that you will be able to find. Like, the blush is creamy. Like, yesterday I just did like this I did one swipe and then I just did mew, 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 and it was blended out. That's how easy these are to blend with fingers, brush, or a sponge. And I really, really enjoy the color. If you have dry skin, I highly recommend this. If you have oily skin, maybe go for one of the matte versions because this is so glossy. Now for highlighters, I also would recommend obviously the highlighter that is inside of this duo. But I also have a liquid illuminator that I would highly recommend picking up if you like glass skin. So this is the Kevyn Glass Glow Face and I have the shade Crystal Clear. You only need a right size amount of this for your cheeks to glow like they have never before. It's a very thick formula, so that's why I say only use a right size amount, because first of all, it's very high shine. Second of all, it's very, very thick. And you don't want to apply this all over your face. It's not a primer in that way. It's definitely one that you want to place very strategically. But when you do, it gives you the most beautiful shine. And I'm actually just going to apply a little bit. I mean, look at this. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. But I don't know if you'll be able to see this. Highly recommend this one if you're looking for a really nice liquid illuminator. For eyeshadow palettes, I don't really have a lot of eyeshadow palettes that are available on SEPHORA.com, and the one that I really want to recommend to you guys is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam palette. It's one of the best neutral palettes that is still on the market in my opinion. Neutral shades with a lot of versatility and a lot of variation, so you can really do a lot with a neutral palette. You can go from very daily kind of look with a little bit of a shadow liner to really smoky. And if you're still looking for a neutral palette in your collection, I would highly recommend that one. Another palette that I would recommend is the Huda Beauty Nude Obsessions palette in Nude Rich. One that is like cranberry tone, so it has a lot of those pinky browns. Beautiful palette, blends out really nicely, very, very pigmented, and just a very unique palette in my collection that I have enjoyed a lot. So for lips, there are two products that I want to highly recommend to you guys picking up. If you haven't already, the Fenty Beauty Gloss Bombs, of course. I currently have the shade Cheeky with me, which is this beautiful orange tone pink, but I also have Fenty Glow. I repurchased that one recently, and I also have Glass Slipper, which is the clear one. The Fenty Beauty Gloss Bombs are the original gloss in my opinion. They are what brought gloss back. They are stunning, high shine finish, very comfortable on the lips, and just beautiful, beautiful formula. And these are just amazing, and if you want to pick these up and you haven't already, please do. They are beautiful. And then another product that I would highly recommend is the Tower 28 Milky Lip Jelly, and I have the shade Cashew, which is also the shade that I have on my lips right now. But it's a really beautiful color as well. It's almost like a very peachy kind of brown, which I obviously love. I really like how comfortable and moisturizing this feels on the lip. But the Tower 28 are a little bit different in the sense that they are more of a lip oil, I would say. They feel very pillowy and very lightweight on the lips. I want to mention that this feels like almost nothing on my lips, because when you apply it, you don't really feel it sitting on your lips. I feel like when I take off this gloss, I will not have any dry patches anymore. So they have a few beautiful shades. Cashew is the one that I have, and I really, really highly recommend these glosses. So those were my Sephora VIB sale recommendations. So let's quickly go over my own wish list. Well, Patrick Ta has recently launched his cream, the Major Sculpt Cream Contour and Powder Bronzer Duo. I want to pick this up so badly because I absolutely love the blush duo, and I think I'm going to love that bronzer duo so much. The shade looks absolutely impeccable and very suitable for my skin tone. A foundation that I would love to pick up on Sephora is the Milk Makeup Sunshine Skin Tint, because it sounds like a product that is right up my alley. Like a light to medium coverage with a very natural finish. enough translucency that you can still see your skin, but it evens out the skin tone at the same time. I love that kind of thing, and I also love the kind of like packaging of that, as well as the Danessa Myricks powder bronzer, cream bronzer. That sounds so interesting to me. Danessa Myricks is a brand that is available on Cult Beauty, but the cream bronzer isn't available there yet. And I've heard really good things about it, and it's just something that I want to try so badly. As well as the Melt Cosmetics Cream Blush Light in Sandy Cheeks, which is the color. You know, I don't need any further explanation, just give me those blushes, man. I don't know what to say. The brand that is currently on SEPHORA.com that is not available on the French website just yet is Merit, and I really want to try a few of Merit's products, like the Flesh Balm Cream Blush, because it's cream blush and it looks beautiful, as well as the Shade Slick Tinted Lip Oil in the shade Au Naturel. Just the vibe of the brand looks very fresh and new to me, and it looks like something that I would really like. As well as the Kaiser's Airbrow Tinted Clean Volumizing Eyebrow Gel is also a product that I would love to pick up during that sale if I could. Another product that I would love to pick up is the Tower 28 Bronzino Illuminating Cream Bronzer. It looks like a formula that is very interesting. It looks very shimmery, and I want to see how that translates onto the skin, so that's definitely something that I would pick up. As well as the new Beach Police Lip and Cheek Cream Blush in obviously the shade Power Hour. It looks like such a beautiful blush shade, and I already have Golden Hour, which is the orangey one, and I love that one so much. The Shiseido Synchro Skin Radiant Lifting Foundation is a foundation that I've seen quite a few people started talking about, and I would love to pick that up during the VIB sale because right up my alley, like slightly more medium coverage to almost high, but with a beautiful natural finish. Rewatch this video and take a shot every time I said natural finish, dewy, luminous, opacity, translucency. Please do, I need to expand my vocabulary. And then a powder bronzer that is actually a little bit more on the pricey side is the Gucci Poudre. I need to speak French, give me a minute. Le Gucci Poudre de Beauté Éclat Soleil Bronzing Powder. I don't know Beauté or Beauté, or I don't know how you pronounce it, but I think the rest was kind of okay. But it's a bronzer that looks absolutely divine. I really like the lightest shade. I think it will look really nice on my skin tone. Yeah, it's definitely something that I would pick up if I get a little bit of a discount on it because it's so expensive, but it looks so luscious. In terms of skincare, there isn't a lot of skincare that I would pick up personally. I am quite happy with what I have right now and it works for me, so I like to stick to that until it doesn't anymore. But some things that I would love to pick up is, for example, the First Aid Beauty Ultra Repair Firming Collagen Cream with peptides and niacinamide. It seems like something very raved about, something that I need to have. As well as the Believe the True Cream Aqua Bomb, and it looks like such a nice moisturizer. So that, guys, concludes today's video. It was probably a very long one, we'll see in the edit, but I want to thank you for watching as always, and I'll see you in my next video. Please leave a comment, like, or subscribe to my channel if you really want to see more of me. And yeah, let me know what you picked up during the Sephora VIB sale if you are from the US, and what would you want if you are a European from the VIB sale. I'll see you next time. Bye!